Hi, everyone. Um, I need a sound check from everybody. Is my voice a little bit clearer today, and or can you hear me okay? Okay, so can everybody hear me okay or not? I have a very particular reason why I'm asking. Is my voice coming through okay? Is my voice coming through okay? Okay, good. Yeah, that works. Yeah. All right. I just had to check because I broke out my really Gucci microphone so that in the hopes that my um, voice would be a little bit clearer than is normally the case. How is everybody doing this evening? Uh, let's bring up the publication so that we can sort of talk through what we have to talk through today. Um, so the subject matter that we have to talk through today is um, Marco Rubio or excuse me, the update on Amy Gleason. I'll take votes in either capacity for which one of those we're going to talk about. Oh, hi, E West. Oh, and Mitch Santel. I think you are a new person. Haven't seen you before. Um, just going to wait a few minutes and let everybody build up before we start talking. Um, there must be a lot of lives going on, usually in the first 3 or 4 minutes. Um, we build up to 15 or so users really quickly. Uh, while we're waiting, open forum. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? If you do, please voice those. I'm all ears. I literally will answer any question that anyone asks. Um, usually without hindrance. So if there's a question about me, if there's a question about the publication, if there's a question about what's going on, excuse me, what's going on, just ask. Oh, gosh, excuse me. Okay, well, then I'll just dive right in. So, um, I did an update to a previous article set. Um, oh, that's interesting. Well, I mean, bird flu really is going to be a problem. Um, in the age of Trump, never going to um, it's never going to be good from a pandemic reply. So I wrote an article the other day about um, Amy Gleason, the administrator of the Doge organization, and I really feel like this should probably be bigger news than it is, um, but I don't know, or maybe they've already over-reported it, and that's why, and I'm just being redundant. Um, but I took a stab at identifying her before more information came out. So um, there was a court filing that dropped um, where Gleason herself made it very clear that Elon Musk did not work for the U.S. Digital Service, of which he is the director. Um, that she does not report to him. He does not report to me. And to my knowledge, he is only a senior advisor to the White House, and that's it. So rather complacently, she's trying to assert that the U.S. Digital Service is not the Doge organization, and that she is the director of the U.S. Digital Service and not the Doge organization. So that revelation is relatively mind blowing when you consider the public perception. Musk has been prancing around as the face of Doge for months, with Trump gleefully celebrating the supposed billions in savings that he's achieved by gutting federal programs. But according to the court documents, Musk has no actual formal authority to make government decisions himself. Um, and if he did, he would have to go through the appointments process. Oh, excuse me. So, um, which is would make him making government decisions unconstitutional. So if Musk is saying that he's firing people and suspending jobs and making all of these dramatic changes to the government at all, then he's doing so unconstitutionally and therefore illegally. So the court filing shed light on the structure of the government slashing organization. Gleason actually oversees two entities, apparently. The U.S. Digital Service, which apparently has been rebranded as the United States Doge Service, and a temporary organization with an expiration date of July 4th of 2026. Here's where it gets interesting. Gleason revealed Trump that under Trump's executive order, agency chiefs were required to create their own Doge teams to hunt down waste. So there's like the main Doge team, but then every agency has to have a Doge representative to detect and identify waste. Um, those agency level Doge teams don't report to Gleason. Um, they report to their respective agency heads. And even when the USDS, the United States Digital Service, staff gets detailed to these agency Doge teams, they fall under agency supervision, not Gleason herself. This creates a, a dynamic. Gleason runs the central Doge operation, but has limited direct control over agency level purges. Um, it's classic. It's a classic Trump administration move. Create competing power centers, encourage internal competition, and let the survival of the fittest play out. Gleason isn't so much the Doge czar as she's the coordinator for a distributed wrecking crew, which occurs over all agencies at all. Uh, the most laughable revelation from these documents is how former colleagues describe Gleason, uh, wherein they describe her as a world class talent who is allegedly apolitical. That characterization strains credulity um, to the breaking point. Nobody survives multiple administrations, including two Trump terms, by being truly apolitical. The notion that someone can oversee an operation that has reportedly axed 115 billion when it's actually more like 8 billion that's actually been recorded and 28 billion, which is due to be relinquished. Um, while remaining apolitical is a complete fantasy. Um, these just aren't budget line items. They're policy choices with implications against marginalized communities and sectors. If Gleason is implementing these cuts while maintaining her position of being apolitical, it's bullshit. It suggests either a disturbing level of moral flexibility or a fundamental agreement with the administration's priorities, which again just puts question into the whole validity that she's apolitical, which I don't necessarily feel like is the case. Um, Hi, Charlene. You look like a new person. I haven't seen you before. I just wanted to acknowledge that you were here. Now that Gleason uh, has been officially identified as Doge acting administrator, it raises an interesting question. And that question is, will the protests that have been directed primarily at Musk now shift over to her? Democrats and federal employees have been rallying against Doge and their terminations and investigations. Numerous uh, demonstrations outside federal buildings have gone on. But if Musk is just a figurehead without any actual authority, and Gleason is the one that has her hands on the levers of power, and she's the one that's getting her hands dirty, shouldn't she be facing more scrutiny? The court documents have lifted the veil on who's actually making the decisions, and it's not the billionaire tech bro who's been soaking up all the attention because he can't. Rick, by all means, please do it. The revelation of this nature fundamentally changes our understanding of Doge's operation and raises serious questions about accountability. If Gleason is the actual administrator and she's the one that's actually making the cuts happen, she deserves far more public attention and criticism than she's received so far. For someone who started as an emergency room nurse, built a career on improving healthcare coordination, Gleason's current role, dismantling government services, represents a profound betrayal of the ultimate base for which she has built herself on upwards forward. Um, Either way, she can no longer hide in the bureaucratic shadow while Musk sits there and takes all the heat. So why are we not focused on Amy Gleason in regards to the Doge debacle and how Doge is working or not working? It's completely, I don't understand it. I really don't. And so if someone can explain to me, Rick, you know what? Here you go. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you a shot.
Hey guys.
All right. So now you got 10 minutes. Go for it.
Oh my gosh, 10 minutes. I don't think I need that long. Yeah, so what you were saying, I didn't catch the end of what you wanted to have explained, and so could you repeat that for me? I was flipping the camera on.
Okay, yeah, it's real simple. If all of these things about Amy Gleason are indeed actually true, and she legitimately is the head of the Doge organization, and she's the one that's making all of these changes, then as a fact of matter, why is there not more attention focused on her? Why is all of that attention focused on Musk? Because
Right.
Musk was Musk was not appointed. He didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't receive a Senate confirmation. The House committee didn't interview him. He didn't sit in front of the Senate. He wasn't appointed. He can't make those decisions. He can say, "I'm doing all this." He can't
Right.
make those. Legally he cannot make those decisions.
Right.
So why is not everybody just super irritated at Gleason?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think number one, there's just the really super obvious part of that, which is way before Gleason showed up on the scene, this whole billionaire, assumed control, and so there was the whole bunch of there was the optics thing that just came in and overrode all of the public perception to say, hey, the structure of the organization, regardless of what it is on fucking paper, is actually just boiled down to here's Musk, here's his tech minions, and they're going in and doing their raids and all that stuff, right? So there's also another question, which is, that has got, I kind of put this, I don't know if I hit send on the message or not. So there's another question inside of this one that has bearing, I think, that might be helpful, which is that there's an overarching, as you've talked about, I think, in your, or you, if you haven't, you're going to, in your Project 2025 analysis about executive unitary theory, right? And there's a direct line between that unitary theory and then how this is going to play out, because within the executive branch, as you guys know, probably there are the independently established organizational units, and then there are the presidentially, run, accepted, normed units, right? When they started, the minute they started going, call they being Musk or Gleason, over the line into getting rid of, firing people from the independent ones, that should have triggered a bunch of reactions in the Senate, which it did in House, which it did not. But what did happen, fortunately, were people were put pressure then on the judiciary, right? So that through the channel of the judiciary and its own legitimacy being really put at test, I think there's that. And that is going to slow down, if not stop, a lot of the actions that are occurring on that half of it that is the independent agencies, which Trump has underneath the executive branch. So I don't know if I explained that very well as far as the difference between what a cabinet level presidential unit is versus an independent one that has its own board of directors, but still happens to just sit in the organizational chart underneath the executive branch. And the real big fear, the thing that most people are just kind of like skating over top of, is that there is one particular independent agency in there that is it is like the golden goose, and that's the Federal Reserve, right? Everybody's been around, anybody that's been around the block for a long time knows that 90% of monetary policy is driven by the Federal Reserve. And the minute Trump steps over that line and starts telling Jerome Powell, hey, dude, I want you to, drop interest rates, and you must do it because I said so, that is going to trigger a huge global level economic seismic impact that we really shouldn't overlook. And I'm down with your question about Gleason getting the attention, but I think the first court question that has to be answered before that question could be answered is that in fact true? And is it, if it's just figurehead level, which is what the judges are basically giving feedback on at this point, that that's what they think it is, and they think Musk is actually, the true operator here. And there's some court precedent to support this, which says if you get named as an agency head but you don't do a damn thing, in that position, you're just basically the figurehead. But there's somebody else over here who is actually doing the work. Then from a judiciary perspective, from how they rule, they can say this guy, aka Musk, is actually the head from a legal perspective, and then therefore is required to go through Senate confirmation, vetting, security clearances, blah 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 blah. So all that is, that's all TBD, and that's why we are in this really really precarious situation where there's an excessive amount of, in my opinion, IMO here. In my opinion, there's an excessive amount of pressure being put just on the judiciary arm of the government versus having congressional, let's just call it lighting fires under people's asses over there, to have, because really the load should be borne by, I'll spit the right words out here, the load should be borne by both of these other co-equal branches of government, not just the judiciary, to support what's the illegality of what's happening over in the executive branch. But unitary theory, man, if that makes it up to the Supreme Court and Roberts rules in favor of that notion, then right after that you'll have Trump telling the Fed what to do, and the minute that happens, all of the people, all of the brains around the globe, and I've checked with my folks that I know in China that have, literally, they're managing funds with billions and billions and billions of dollars of treasuries in it. Those guys will start unloading and dumping that stuff as fast as they can, because the minute Trump is seen as the guy who's in control of that monetary policy side, there's a whole other can of worms that just got it. It's a Pandora's box that will explode into both the debt markets and the equity markets, aka the stock market. So that's my take on that one, or my hot take on that. I hope if there are any questions, I can do follow-ups with that.
Well, I mean, Darlene has already asked the question. So she says, um, "Do we put pressure on Gleason and then she waffles?" So, Darlene, you asked that question. I mean, yeah, but what's it gonna do? I mean, what effect is that really gonna have? Probably not anything.
Yeah, it's actually, Gleason is has to actually materially demonstrate a hands-on decision making, as in like the lawyers from the Justice Department that are showing up at the hearings over in the judiciary have to produce documents that say, here is a decision, for example, or here's a pile of decisions that Gleason has signed off on that actually are in writing. And unless that can be produced, then as like an evidentiary thing, then it doesn't matter what the fuck the White House, excuse my language, whatever they say. It is a bottom line. No, you're not in charge. You're not running it. Musk is running it, and if they can, if they can't prove that she's making those decisions, then there's probably a good chance they'll tell the Justice Department to fuck off. So,
Rick, I think you should know better when interacting on this publication. I am not going to excuse your language. if you don't,
okay,
if you
fantastic.
don't cuss, not allowed.
All right.
I am a seriously mouthy, bitchy ass trans woman. So, um,
Awesome.
cuss all the fuck you want, please. I mean, 100%.
All right,
Um,
man. Will do.
no, no, no. It's cool. Um, so, Darlene, maybe not, but is she willing, able to withstand that shit show? She may be entirely shielded from it. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, the way Musk behaves, and I agree with Rick's analysis. Like the thing that really needs to happen here against the unitary drive is leaning on the judiciary. It's clear that the judiciary is doing its job. John Roberts wouldn't have told Trump to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up over, yeah, over fucking around with the judiciary because that's not allowed.
Right.
I mean, and two, what this shows is a propensity for Trump to completely not understand how separation of powers and checks and balances work. Um, you know, from my perspective, he and Musk are just threatening the GOP. Vote the way we want you to vote, or we will push you out. You know, on the outside of that, like all of that influence, and what the fuck is the Democratic Party doing?
Oh
You
God,
know,
don't. My head might just hear that. So yeah, there's a really interesting question that I've been mulling over for a couple of days in the back of my mind, and it goes like this. It's like, okay, there has to be a bunch of traditional, what I'll call older school Republicans that are sitting there in the House and in the Senate going, okay, I really want outside of I want to get out of this shit show because when it goes down in flames my whole constituency back home is going to vote me out, right? And so there's this like self-preservation thing that I don't understand, and I wish I had a good answer for of why are these guys kissing the ring and prostrating themselves, and genuflecting in front of Trump when in fact there's a constituency they are accountable to as representatives into the government to do their job. So it's bless you
oh,
and
excuse me.
yeah you know so I don't really know that side of it, but I've been pushing the idea that the Democrats have like the fucking golden opportunity to insert in here and do stuff that would potentially open a pathway between the two parties for them to first of all renovate themselves as a party, and then second of all provide a path for Republicans to stage an exit out of that whole mess into something else, because they know that their voter base is so enraged right now with what's going on that I don't think anybody has really sat and just noodled I don't want to say anybody, but I don't think enough people have really noodled the second order consequences of what these cuts are doing. I mean, we just saw like Columbia University and I cannot remember the name of the other one. It's not coming to me, but that these research cuts alone are going to stop medicines from being delivered. It's going to spill over into the NIH. It's going to spill over to the World Health Organization. When we're all fucking near dead because there's a pandemic that hits the globe and we're just not playing ball, and that's why people are dying. That's going to be a real, negative detriment, in my opinion, to all of this crazy cuts in services and cuts in funding, that are being played out. There's so much entangled between the military industrial complex, the actual health delivery complex, and then the other, I'll call them just the insurance based complex of Medicare, Medicaid, chips, etc. These are all they're all in basically incestuous arms of the government that get in with each other and have deep, 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 deep relationships. And a lot of people I don't think really got it, just saying, right? So it's gonna really start to blow up here. Give it a month, and if not sooner, and we'll really start to see major headlines, and I think the mass media is starting to light up on fire because things will get much, much, much more interesting and very visceral for people to react to. I think it's just starting.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. The torrent of change that has literally happened in the last 60 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's painful to watch, but um, you know, there's glimmers of hope
Yeah.
against, I think didn't Boegas or Boberg, like he's
Yeah.
now investigating why it is the administration did deportations against the ruling himself.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like I feel like when a judge says I'm doing this research myself, that's a real fucking problem.
Yeah. By the way, I'll just back you up on that. That is an interesting one, because what he's actually executing a very infrequently used piece of the law, piece of the power of the judiciary to do what he's doing. It's not something that normally occurs in the course of day-to-day business, but he
Nope.
has that power, and he's pulling it out of his ass and using it against the administration to force them in a case where, and here's the interesting part, say the administration says, fuck you, we're not going to do anything to comply with that particular order for the investigative results, right? Then what happens is, so you ask yourself what happens. Well, the judge then at that point can hold them all in contempt of court, which then he has the right to throw them in prison, which then leads to the question, well, okay, but if all the people that are going to enforce the law are sitting over in the executive branch, how does that play out? Does everybody just go home? The answer to that has actually been tested once in our history, and that answer is that the federal marshals have been ordered one time before to go after people in the executive branch at the direct opposition of. I don't think it was the president, but it was somebody way high up. It was like a cabinet level person, and it went up to the Supreme Court, and the ruling came back down that said, the marshals have the responsibility, first of all, to protect the integrity of the judiciary, and therefore execute that before they follow commands from the executive himself, right? So
Right.
that's an interesting play out of that scenario that I've heard people think about. Anybody else have questions
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. Please. Moneyball, I agree with you on the assertion that Robert should walk back the uh, the immunity statement. Um,
oh,
I the one that statement in and of itself was a shaky ground statement. No matter how the fuck you play that out. Um, and I think in Robert's case, he may have done that thinking that the judiciary could continue to rein in the executive branch, which they are constitutionally supposed to be able to do. Um, but we're coming into a play dynamic where the people running the playbook, by the way, those executive orders end up on Orange but shits his pants desk. I don't think he reads those fucking things. He doesn't read anything.
but he reads.
Yeah, I don't think he fucking reads. He's a fan of Tesla. He's a fan of Tesla. That it blows my fucking mind. That I can't even. So yeah. So I felt like Roberts felt like if I say this, if we make this decision, then yes, we can control him. I think what Roberts is finding out is that they can't.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
it's an utter failure of imagination, man. It's like, wow, you guys did not really. I remember I just happened to be in Boston that day when those hearings were being held, and my car broke down. So I was sitting in a dealership's waiting room listening to the audio of that whole back and forth between the lawyers and the Supreme Court on the immunity thing. And oh my God, it was Katanya John, what was her name, Jackson. She was like pulling all these scenarios out where this would be, the SEAL Team 6 thing and some other stuff. And yet the conservative side was playing the thing of, well, why not? And I'm like, why? I literally had to like I walked over and hit my head against the wall to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. That it was like, wow, that really is a thing that they're thinking about. It was evident that that was, like, yeah, we're going to give this guy carte blanche, man, and no problem. It'll all work out. Holy fuck. So anyway,
uh, Roberts is one of the most blameworthy culprits around for guaranteeing this wouldn't happen in the first place. Carpe Librium, yeah, you're not wrong. You're completely not wrong about that. Um,
absolutely.
you know, I here I, Well, when it was the president who ignores the Supreme Court in that way, the president was Jackson, who proceeded to ignore it and perpetuate the Trail of Tears. By the way, I will tell you, cat lover, there are a lot of things that you can say to indigenous Native Americans. The two things that you do not say to indigenous Native Americans, and I have asked this question to indigenous Native Americans, is you never say the word Andrew and Jackson in the same fucking sentence. Don't do it. you and if you say good after that, I guarantee you, you won't make any friends.
Amen.
Yeah, you won't make friends. I promise you. You know, about in the same way, if you use the T word around trans persons, um, you won't make any friends that way either. You know, so it's completely crazy. So, Rick, I have to ask, did you read the imploding Musk singularity article I wrote?
No, I I actually was from the last 2 days. I was just so burned out today that I kind of unplugged everything and I slept. I slept my entire day away pretty much, getting up maybe twice. So I just literally got up about a half hour ago and have been slowly drinking coffee. So I normally, by the way, just so you know, I normally because of my job, I start work at 12:30 a.m. and because my clients are in Israel and London, so
Sure.
I work at night and then I tend to sleep some during the day, but not as much as the last two. I mean, just the last 2 days have been pretty brutal. So I was
I
out.
know.
I did.
I mean, I completely get it. You know, I've been an infosec engineer for so long that, you know, working hours that go into the evening and even in the late night have been just a usual occurrence for me so often that,
Yeah.
um, you know, plus, I mean, if I'm going to engage in nefarious activities, then I tend not to want to do that during the day.
Yeah.
uh, during the day. Well, that was the other thing I was going to read through. I doubt you want to sit here and go back and forth with me on this. Um, uh, but
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
can.
okay, well then great. Well, let's do it.
No, I can.
Um,
I can.
yeah, okay. Um, but
Unhook.
yeah, that's the next thing that I'm gonna fucking bitch about is the Musk singularity problem. Um,
Okay. Well,
so
take me off if you want, and that'd be good, and then I can just listen for a while.
yeah, you're gonna love it. Don't worry, Rick. You're gonna love it. I will tell
Awesome.
you. Will tell you. You're coming back in here again.
Thanks.
Okay, Rick, you're fucking brilliant. I don't care what anybody says about you. I'll defend you until the day I'm dead. Um, you, you're good people. So over the course of the last 2 days, I've done a significant amount of research wrapped around Musk and the fact that Musk is running out of money. So, you know, let's pretend for a minute that we go into the future and in the future, we're able to see um, certain things happen. So, this is entirely opinion. Don't take it as fact. It's really just my opinion about this specific subject leveraged against what market knowledge I have and what the market is saying. So, um, when Tesla crashes, Musk's empire completely and totally burns down to the fucking ground. Um, I mean, completely down to the ground. Um, oh shit! Oh shit! Oh, I need to grab my phone. Where the fuck is my phone? Holy shit! Um, 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 okay. Anyway, so um, uh, wow. Uh, um, with me a second. I'm actually dealing with an emergency situation here. All right. Do. Um, really? Holy crap. Um, oh, yeah, there we go. Uh, uh, everyone, just bear with me, please. I apologize for what's going on here. Um, anyway, so Musk and the falling apart situation of his singularity issue. Yeah, corporate liberty. Sometimes you just have to bear with me. I have weird idiosyncratic shit that goes on, and I have a lot to manage, um, despite being desperately unemployed at the moment. Okay, anyway, sorry, sorry. All right, so um, the acrid stench of burning money hangs in the air as Tesla shares spiral downward. So Tesla shares were trading at between 500 and 400 in January. They are literally down to almost $200 a share now, and that's a real fucking problem. Um, all the Cybertrucks, virtually every Cybertruck that is on the road has been recalled. All 52,486 Cybertrucks have a recall for pieces that fall off of them in rare situations and cause accidents to occur. Dealerships are being attacked, defaced, burned every night. Tesla cars are being ruined and destroyed right before our very eyes. The sound of the investors hammering sell buttons echoes through the trading floors worldwide. Yeah, I, insurance companies have gotten to where they won't cover a Tesla now. So they have to face reality. Tesla is on the concept of a potential collapse, and it isn't just about an overvalued car company eating shit on the market. It's about a cascading clusterfuck that literally will funnel down all the way through Musk's businesses and turn him into a penniless fucking dickhead asshole. So here's the thing that people aren't taking into account. This is the thing that people need to know about, and that's this. Musk leveraged loans to buy Twitter based on Tesla stock. So Musk dropped $44 billion on Twitter, rebranding it as X. Um, the bitter truth about that is that Musk secured that loan with significant portions of his Tesla stocks to buy Twitter. So when and here's how it works. When collateral value plummets, lenders don't wait around hoping that things improve. They take immediate action. This is what banks do um, to protect the investment and trigger a cascade of forced sales. So you'll hear about this in the coming months. It's called a margin call. And basically, when a margin call hits, it's going to slap Musk so hard upside the head, he's not going to even be able to see straight until it's all over. So when all of this happens, and he runs out of money, um, Twitter offices will reek of desperations and human feces from all the pants shitting that goes on as employees witness the platform's ownership structure disintegrate in real time because Musk can't take care of those loans anymore, and the owners of those loans will call them in. We're already seeing a massive number of Tesla investors that are rushing out to beg the company to unseat Musk as the CEO, eject him off of the board, and unassociate him with the company so that the company can recover. Now, in this reality, in my own reality, I think there's no way. Even if they boot Musk off, Tesla as a company will never recover and it will go into complete bankruptcy. Um, so as the margin call hits, Twitter will Twitter's fate will then dangle by increasingly thin threads. Platform servers, they'll continue on. People like Cat Turd will still engage with people, but the ownership will transfer from the world's former richest man, because he's clearly not that anymore, to a consortium of pissed off banks faster than you can tweet financial buttfuckery. Yes, I said that. Financial buttfuckery. Um, so Um, the company is already in a horrible state of mismanagement. Remember, Musk gutted the entire company, fired a whole shit ton of people. So it's barely a skeleton crew that's even keeping the lights on. Advertisers are jumping ship left and right. People are leaving the platform left and right. Um, it's hemorrhaging out both ends of its ass, 5 levels deep, 8 levels wide. Um, and so there's nothing that Musk can do about that, as the hallmark of what Musk has built all of his fortunes on, Tesla, are going down the fucking toilet. So while SpaceX, and so now let's go to SpaceX. Um, while SpaceX operates as a separate entity from Tesla, don't even kid yourself to the idea that it exists in some kind of magical vacuum. It doesn't. The cold, hard reality is that Musk's personal financial bloodbath will splash over into every other business he has. SpaceX, despite its impressive achievements, exploding rockets on the pad more often than NASA ever did, still relies heavily on Musk's leadership and financial backing. If he loses the financial backing of Twitter and the financial backing of Tesla, he can't back anything. That business will fold. Um, you'll hear the sound of investors pulling out will be completely deafening. Um, the smooth metal of beautiful Falcon rockets will just fall apart into rust and decay, and they will finally fall apart into nothing. The company's ambitious Starship program um, will likely be the first casualty. The enormous expensive development um, costs suddenly become impossible to justify. And let's be fair, SpaceX um, requires a massive influx of money, a massive amount of money fluctuating into the company. It has to. I mean, you just so it's going to catch up. Um, Wall just died the death that should have happened the minute Musk took reins and tried to ride it. Starlink. Starlink satellites will turn into giant space dildos that do absolutely nothing and please no one. Um, the most immediate vulnerable piece of Musk's ventures would be Starlink, the satellite internet constellation. Now, let's be fair. Musk is like trying to tout that he invented 6G or whatever. He didn't. He really didn't. That was some Caltech dude. Um, that was not Musk. Um, Starlink has already shown a stupid level of devaluation. Countries are lining up to tear up their Starlink contracts. Uh, um, Mexico is first. Um, Europe is lining up. Canada is lining up to tear up Starlink. Um, all of it. Without Tesla's, okay, hold on. Without Tesla stock valuation to back funding rounds and loans against Starlink, Starlink faces an existential crisis. Those thousands of satellites, um, uh, you know, uh, orbiting the Earth above your head, each one requires maintenance, and it requires replacement and operational support and all of that bullshit. And if Musk can't back that with his own financial empire, which is falling apart because Tesla's running the fuck out of money, then Starlink is going to fall apart. The bitter irony is that Starlink was really approaching a point where its substantial investments might actually pay off. If Musk keeps losing money with Tesla and they boot him out, before Tesla falls completely the fuck apart, then guess what? Starlink's not going to make shit. So, what does this all mean? So, the nitty gritty of this financial disaster is this: when Tesla hits like bankruptcy level shares, um, let's say in a fantasy world, $5 a share, or goes straight into bankruptcy, Musk faces margin calls. Yeah, exactly. I'll get to that, Rouse Crow. It's not good, I promise you. Um, Musk will face a margin call, and it'll make your stomach turn. Having pledged Tesla shares as collateral for various loans that he has, including those that finance the Twitter acquisition, Musk has set himself up for a spectacular fall. Um, as collateral value evaporates, lenders don't just send strongly worded emails. Um, they demand immediate action. They send Uncle Guido to have a little talk with you about how you need to pay the money up or we're going to have to break something. Um, so, I mean, the first thing that happens is people hunt Musk down. Um, the atmosphere will thicken with tension as financial advisors scramble to find solutions where none exist because no one wants to give Musk any fucking money. Um, you'll see the sweat beating on foreheads as billions in loans come due simultaneously all at the same time. And this isn't some theoretical um, um, financial inconvenience. It is a bloodbath that will literally force the liquidation of every asset Musk owns to retain whatever he has left. And the banks will pound and pound until they get the pound of flesh they want, one way or the fucking other. Um, Harvard scholar Thomas Chen and banking insider once said, in margin call situations involving high net worth individuals with complex asset structures, lenders typically coordinate their actions to maximize their recovery, often resulting in simultaneous pressure across multiple business entities. They won't just wait for the Tesla shit to work out. They'll attack Musk at every avenue he has to get their money. So, for Musk himself, Tesla's collapse represents a personal financial apocalypse that exists on a biblical level, and he's not getting a rapture to save him. Tesla stock constitutes the bulk of his net worth, the foundation upon which his entire empire is built. And we're talking about a huge ball like this under one little pillar like this, and that pillar is about to fall the fuck apart. The taste of humiliation will be bitter as he potentially loses control of companies he's invested in. Remember, he didn't found Tesla. He didn't found SpaceX. He invested a bunch of money and then he became the face of those organizations. Um, his notorious Twitter posts will likely take on an increasingly desperate tone, like the Fox News interview where he said, I thought the left was the piece about party. I'm a good person. I don't do bad things. I'm trying to do good things. I don't understand why the left people are attacking me and destroying my dealerships and devaluing my company. Because you're a fucking idiot. Um, you know, fire this person. And then, too, yeah, he'll do the Trump thing. Fire this person. Arrest that person. Death penalty for this person who vandalized the Tesla dealership. And let's be fair. People in Musk's arena, even Musk himself, even Trump himself said, people who have vandalized Tesla dealerships need to be sent to El Salvador because they're domestic terrorists. So as Tesla crashes and burns, corporate vultures will circle around the carcass of Musk's empire, ready to pick their bones clean. Now, back to the earlier question about what happens when Musk tries to fuck around with Social Security. Murkowski, a number of GOP members have come forward recently and basically told Musk he needs to shut the fuck up about Social Security. Social Security is a third rail issue at the government level. Yes, it has long been The Republican jizz dream, circle jerk jizz dream, to make Social Security disappear. But here's the problem. Every time the Republican Party has tried to fuck around with Social Security, they didn't recover from it. um, Techo, you're completely right. Social Security is a third rail issue. If they try to fuck around with it, the Republican Party will never survive that fallout. They're already being pushed out by their constituencies. If SSI gets fucked with, they'll definitely be gone. So if Musk fucks that up, it won't just be vultures that'll be coming after him. We'll be having a Marie Antoinette situation where he's sitting outside his house and there's 5 million people at his door waiting to cut his head off because that's coming. So the fallout from a Tesla collapse and the financial crisis that would cause Musk won't be contained to his immediate empire. Those shockwaves will ripple through markets with the force of a meteor strike. Investors who followed Musk with cult-like devotion will find themselves questioning every investment decision that they make. The EV market as a whole will probably struggle, but because a larger portion of auto manufacturers are making EVs, those EV market spots, Ford, Nissan, they'll all swing upward. Cryptocurrency markets, which often respond to Musk's every tweet, will face more volatility. Um, Dogecoin holders, in particular, might watch in horror as their meme-based investment follow Tesla into the complete abyss, and Dogecoins will become worth completely nothing. Even though currently I think they're worth only 17 cents a coin or whatever. Um, the smell of fear will permeate investment communities um, as they wonder which overvalued tech darling might be the next to face that reality. Space investors, once excited about the promise of a new frontier, might retreat to safer harbors and no one will go near it or touch it. Um, but that lesson comes in actual blood. If Tesla crashes, um, the lessons will be written in the financial blood of others for future generations. First, diversify. Isn't just financial advice, it's survival. Um, Rouse Crow um, is a meme coin. Um, Meme coin is a generalization, Dogecoin is a type of coin. One day we'll do a live session to talk about cryptocurrency because my partner is the cryptocurrency queen and she understands it even way better than I do. So the second lesson that will be learned, even visionaries need fiscal discipline. Um, the practice of leveraging success in one venture to fund increasingly speculative moonshot works in others is a catastrophe. Don't fucking do it. The third thing that we'll all learn is corporate governance matters. Tesla's board allowed its CEO to use company stock as personal collateral. They should never have done that. The bitter lesson will linger like smoke after fire. No one, not even the richest person on the planet, is immune to financial gravity, and that includes Elon Musk. Um, so, what do we all learn from this? The potential collapse of Tesla uh, represents more than just a stock market event. It's a potential end of an era defined by Musk's seemingly unstoppable ascent. The fall would expose the fragility of uh, success built on leverage assets, concentrate risk, and ultimately the cult of personality therein. Twitter, SpaceX, Starlink stand directly in the path of financial tsunami that would follow Tesla's collapse, and Musk would become penniless and be the victim of, you know, the welfare system. By the way, the very welfare system that he himself is trying to obliterate. Uh, I agree with you, Rick. There's an unaliving that is going to happen. So as we contemplate the future, the potential future, one thing comes abundantly clear. The distance between visionary success and catastrophic failure is shorter than most are worth admitting to themselves. Sometimes it's just a margin call away, but you know, this is just my opinion. You can tell me I'm full of shit if you want. I mean, I won't argue with you. Oh, Wilkerson, you don't want to have a chat. Here we go. Rick, I mean, we can only hope, right? We can only hope. I'm gonna try to bother Cat Lover. We're gonna see if Cat Lover, uh, uh, if I can coax Cat Lover out. Uh, I'm gonna pick on two. I'm gonna pick on two random people. Oh, there you are. I was trying to bring you into the live session, Cat Lover, because I wanted to give you a chance to speak. Oh, okay. Here, hold on. I can re-hit you. No, Pia. Remember, Orange McShits his pants. Orange McShits his pants, or as I often like to say, Donnie O'Tiny Hands.
Hello.
Okay, there you go, Cat Lover. You can
Hi.
you can you've got 5 minutes. Ask any question, say whatever you want.
I'm just so I am so heartbroken over this whole situation. It is the worst thing that's ever happened in my life, and I'm terrified about where we're going, and I just don't know what to do. I really don't.
Well, I mean, we can watch it all burn to the ground and then try to rebuild it after that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want that, and I don't want it to burn to the ground, but they've been planning this for a long time, and the way they have double down on the viciousness and the every time I see a press conference, I feel like I'm being psychologically terrorized.
Well, you and everyone else. I promise you, you're not alone.
And it's like, that thing that he did with the DEI, the people on the Pentagon's website, the Navajo code talkers and the Tuskegee Airmen, and it was crazy.
Jackie Robinson.
There's literally, I'm from a county where I'm from the South, where there were several of those Tuskegee Airmen who were from this county, and we have a mural on the side of our library and a small army base nearby, and I would not be a bit surprised if those army um if that army base doesn't start intimidating my library to paint that thing off, and they know it's there because everybody in this town of 40,000 drives past it every day on the corner lot, and I see their enlisted men running up and down the sidewalk doing their training. And so they know that, and they're going to start trying to. I'm not saying they're going to go in there and shoot the librarian, but they're going to start trying to intimidate at that level every single thing across this country. you
I mean,
know,
you're not wrong. You're really not.
and I think about that stuff and I cry multiple times a day and I just don't know what to do. I mean, yes, protests and stuff like that, but when I think about the enforcement of court orders, the executive branch owns all of the guns in the federal government except for the Capitol Police, which are owned by Congress. The judiciary owns none. Those are the U.S. Marshals, and they're loners, and they answer to the president. And there isn't, I think about that because do you think they're going to go arrest him and get in a shootout with the Secret Service? No.
No, of
And
course
so
not.
then what the hell happens? I mean,
No.
that freaks me out. And that Hexeth and the Christian nationalist tattoos, and clearly I don't see any kind of mutiny within the armed forces. Being it, this is not Red Dawn. And
Oh my
I don't
God.
know what the hell happens, and it freaks me out. And I think I'm never going to capitulate, but I don't know that I'm ever going to be free again.
I, you know, I'm speaking from just my own personal experience as a trans person, and I know that's not a popular, uh, that's not a popular type of person to be. Um, there's a lot of people that hate us, um, but I, yeah, just this desire to make entire swaths of social space disappear, um, and then go away. And oh shit, Cat, I lost you. I'm gonna try to get you back. Um, it's just nightmarish. It's just completely nightmarish, um, and it's not anything that um, it's just every day I wake up and my Trump bingo card keeps getting bigger and bigger with all of this shit that's happening. Um, and I can't reconcile it. I mean, I really can't. Um, I really, really can't. It's just getting worse and worse. Um, so here, I'm gonna try to get you back, Cat Lover. We're gonna see how this works. Um, if it doesn't, not a big deal. Don't worry about it. I'll catch you on the upswing in the next live. Um, let's pick another one. Here we go. Um, yeah, I can see you, Cat Lover. Yeah, that's unusual. Yeah, Rick, if you could make that comment, I would be certainly appreciative. Um, uh, so they are responsible for all of the judiciary. Yeah, here you go, Rick. Um,
Can you hear me okay?
yeah, I got you, Rick. Go for it.
Yeah. So I don't know I don't know if this helps, cat lover, but I had to change rooms real quick just to look up some stuff I've got on a screen in another room. But there have been a number of instances where the marshals have been called in to execute orders that are in conflict with, for example, the executive. Now I understand the fear, I really do, and I'm not trying to uh, play that down at all. But what I'm saying is there, from a risk of retribution, which is where I think this is ultimately how people rationalize what can happen to them. The actual actors, the humans that fill out the Marshal Service, do not face any consequences from the executive branch, even though they are, uh, in an org chart sense, they're everybody that is the enforcer or the actor in it reports to that. But there's literally a whole wall of legal protection that was intentionally built into the U.S. Marshal Service so that in the event this particular thing were to happen, they could feel or have that protection, if you will, from the judiciary to be able to go ahead and um, make arrests or grab people who are in contempt of court. I think, by the way, just for what it's worth, based on what I was reading about some case law earlier today, the more likely scenario, besides, somebody waltzing into the Oval Office and, grabbing Trump by the orange goo on his face and leading him away, the more likely thing is that DOJ justices would get named in contempt situations, and then they then would have the marshals would in fact have to go pull those people away. That's happened before. That's actually a real thing where DOJ justices have defied orders of the court, and marshals have had to go directly in. It's and it's been at the fury of the president, but there's absolutely nothing that the president could do to force retribution. Now, of course, you've got the weird part of the wingnut MAGAs out there that would potentially take things into their own hands. But another thing that the marshals have built into their kind of DNA, because they run the witness protection program, is that they are probably they're the most anonymous law enforcement people you can possibly ever have. So there is hope there that you could theoretically, or they could at least in theory, be able to act with a lot of impunity and not have to worry about being doxxed or something like that in public. I'm not trying to put false optimism out there, but I do want to say there's just a gigantic wall of law that sits between the marshals and the executive branch to protect them from exactly this kind of situation, and that the most likely thing is that they would have orders given to them by a federal judge to apprehend a DOJ lawyer that I think Trump would be much much more willing to hang out to dry than that they would ever be called to actually go arrest somebody like Donald Trump directly in the Oval Office. Although theoretically they can, he's a guy that can do that. Now, I don't know if that helps a little bit or clarifies where the law kind of sits with respect to that. Um, yeah. By the way, that question about impeachment, is that uh, that just popped up? I'm sorry, Ruser CW. Is that a question of if impeachment were to occur, who enforces it? Marshals can be called upon for that as well, by the way, and would be the ones responsible for actually detaining and putting in their own prisons, not relying on the Department of corrections inside of the executive department. They have their own facilities, their own stuff, their own, they're run completely down a different arm of the law enforcement world, and could put or detain somebody into their facilities that way. So that cat lover, I think I think I'm holding up the channel here so I can get out and let you talk if you want. That's no problem. If
I,
Wendy
I
would let me.
yeah, I got you, Rick.
Okay.
Yeah. So here you go, Cat.
Reason I'm harder, I'm more freaked out than the average person. I am not the average American. I have degrees in law, political science, and economics, and all of that presupposes the rule of law exists and that the president is not a dictator, because all of that circles back around to him. Now, when I said, literally them arresting him, I was speaking somewhat metaphorically. But if push comes to shove, he owns all of the guns, and that's a problem. And I haven't practiced law in many years because I didn't care for it, but I am very educated on all of this. I am a 98 percenter, and I literally think I could be completely ruined. Anybody who's not a 0.5 percenter or above can be completely destroyed. They are deliberately trying to crash these markets. Nothing about this is innocent. They are not unaware of that. They are trying to do that to exploit value so that they can scoop stuff up on sale. And so the problem is, I'm educated in this stuff and it terrifies me because a lot of that stuff breaks down. The law doesn't mean anything when you're ruled by a dictator who rules by decree and says, I don't answer to that. And I mean, all of that stuff is premised on that we actually live in a society where the president follows the rule of law, and he is clearly indicating that he does not. So they're welcome in the federal judiciary to get their loner U.S. Marshals who live in the executive branch to go arrest whoever. And if he points a gun metaphorically at somebody, it devolves into a civil war, basically. And I've kept my mouth shut about that a lot around people because they don't want to hear it. And I understand the instinct to want to deny it because it is terrifying, but I don't know where to go from there. And I've got a law degree and I've got all that and I know all that stuff, and I'm more terrified because of it. And I don't want to ruin everybody's morale, but when I look on a lot of these, and I'll wrap it up because I don't want to take up the whole channel. When I look at a lot of the comments that I see, and it's when I was in school, I had a solid year of American civics drilled into me in 8th grade, and nobody I meet under the age of 40 knows a damn thing about the Constitution. They ask questions that I knew in 8th. I don't know getting a law degree. I learned it in 8th grade. I didn't learn it getting a degree in political science. So that was not instilled for decades in the American people, and that is why they got duped, and that is why they don't have a commitment to any of this stuff, and that is why they were susceptible to these disinformation campaigns, because 50% of the country can't read above an 8th grade level, and it's inexcusable. And I've been screaming it for 25 years that you are creating a danger in the voting booth. You are allowing these citizens that I pay taxes for to not be educated. And they are going to endanger us, and they are going to vote us out of democracy. And I've said it for 20 years. And I've been screaming about Donald Trump for 10, and it meant nothing. And that all of that has demoralized me. I don't know what I could have said. Then in 20, he went direction, and the idiocracy put him back into office. I'm literally convinced that 2/3 of this population is either stupid or vicious and corrupt. And then 1/3 of us who give a damn, 20% of us don't know the Constitution at an 8th grade level. And I'm furious over it. I don't know what the hell is going to happen to us. I know I'm venting and all of that, but I know that when I was in school, it was a damn boot camp. And they don't demand a damn thing out of anybody in these schools, and they just pass them on through, and you can be functionally illiterate and get a high school diploma, and they go into the voting booth and ruin us. And I do not care how elitist it sounds. If we ever get this shit show back into control, I want every damn citizen in this country to be educated, and then I want them to be forced to pass citizens that tests on American civics. And if you cannot pass it, disenfranchise them. And make anybody who cannot pass that a felon if they touch a firearm. That is how you cannot have a bunch of ignorant masses running around with guns who can't read and don't know the Constitution. They pass it or they get disenfranchised. That's how you fix this. I don't give a damn if it disenfranchises 60, 80% of the adult population. They can get that damn book and they can read it and they can pass it. Just like they get it from the DMV if they value driving a car. I don't want to hear any shit about how it's too hard. They need to not be voters because they have voted us right into Germany in 1933 and we are ruined. And if that doesn't get straightened out, this place will never be worth a damn ever again. And I know I sound like a tyrant and a bitch, but I am furious because I have shouted about this since for 25 damn years I said this would happen. And here we are. And for a goddamn decade, I've screamed about Donald Trump. If you ever let that man in the White House, he will not leave voluntarily. And by God, in 2020, this January of 21, that is exactly what he attempted to do. And these morons put him back in there. I want them disenfranchised. They are to be educated or they are to be non-voters. And I don't give a shit how elitist that sounds. You do not let a rabble army vote you right into a dictatorship because you don't want to be mean. They can't fucking read. I'm sorry, I'll let it go. I apologize for the hysteria, but I am too educated to not be afraid. I am not
Okay,
average. I am rich for now. You know what I mean? And I'm a moral person. And
okay,
I am
Caliber.
not, you got to have hundreds of millions of dollars to survive this shit. If it goes as bad as I think it could, if it goes as badly as I think it could, we could all be ruined. And I told my broker, you do not put me anything near anything that smells like Elon Musk. This,
Th-
this is, it's unforgivable. It is
This
unforgivable.
this is where all of us are. All of us are here. All of us are here exactly where you are right now.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I've been crying about this shit for 60 fucking days.
I have too. And
It's
everybody around me is clueless. I go in a gas station. I'm crying at 3 o'clock. This girl is like, "Are you? What's going?" I said, "No, I'm not okay. The country has been destroyed." And I said, "You need to get off TikTok because you're about to have your life ruined by the U.S. government. You need to pay attention to what's going on." I mean, half of the damn people in my town act like they don't even know what the hell's going on. A third of them didn't even bother to vote. And my family, I have a lot of family who voted for this, and they're not even evil people. They're just people who only ever vote Republican, and I'm the Democrat, and the rest of it. And but they're not crazy. They're the kind that hold their nose and vote because it's a Republican. And I am still enraged. So, and I love my family, but I'm never gonna recover from inside. My heart has been so crushed by this that I am never going to be the same again. I'm never going to recover from this existentially, emotionally. I am never going to I am never going to be the same woman again. I'm just not. My heart has been destroyed, and I love this country, and I'm seeing it burn to the ground around me, and I don't want to scare people, but they better wake up, because the truth is this country was born on the 4th of July in 1776 as a constitutional Republican democracy, and it was sentenced to death on the 5th of November of last year, and it died on the 20th of January, and people do not understand that. It is not at risk. It is gone. It died. It is something to be restored. We are not on the brink of a constitutional crisis. We've been living in the goddamn middle of one for 2 months. And every time I see some headline that says that, or somebody talking like that, I want to slap them. It is not helpful to pretend. And I don't know what else to do. But the crisis began on the 20th of January at noon, when the country was executed. Just because it's not apparent yet, that's due to all of the embalming fluid and the makeup. It is decaying in front of us, and that will become apparent, and then the skeleton will be revealed, and then everybody will freak out. Well, I've been screaming about this for 10 years. On the 5th of November, it was sentenced to death. And people need to understand that. Now it is a thing to be restored, not saved. We failed to save it on November 5th. And I could barely contain myself over this. I am the most gentle woman you would ever meet. Okay, I've literally never struck anybody or harmed anybody. I'm not like a violent person. I'm not. But I could put my hand through the plaster in my wall and go right through the brick to the outside of the house. I'm that mad. Every day. I'm tired of saying things to idiots who don't listen. And then what I say comes true. And then everybody's baffled around me and my damn family. And I say, I told you this a decade ago. Well, I didn't know that it was going to be. Listen, you voted for this. So I don't know what to tell them. I'm sorry, I'll quit talking now. I don't mean to sound like a psycho. I'm really not. I'm a very gentle, normally sane woman, but I am freaking out. And I'm so glad I never had kids. And I've deliberately never had kids. And I cannot tell you how glad I am about that. But I still have people I love in this world. And, what is going to happen to the people I care about? I don't know.
You're I, you're right here with the rest of us. You're right here with the rest of us. We're all in the same place. We don't understand why the fuck it's going on. We don't understand why the fuck it's here. How the fuck it's supposed to work. In what capacity it's supposed to work. None of us get it. Um, none of us get it. Um, so, 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 cat lady, take a deep breath. Um,
Thank you.
I'm gonna let you down now. Um, yeah, it's don't stop. Don't anybody stop. And I've said this countless times before. I'll say it again. We can't make it without all of you. Be safe. and be strong. Um, and we'll make it together because the unity that we have is not the unity that everyone else will have. And our unity is stronger. Um, it's stronger. Um, I mean, it's just stronger. And I'm thankful for every single one of you.